What happens when two dudes, one a retired Navy SEAL commander in Colorado Springs, and the other a hippie meditation teacher in New York City, get together to discuss living mindfully? That's a great question, because we don't know what will happen either. Raw, uncut, and unapologetic. Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness with co-hosts John McCaskill and Will Schneider. Each week, we take an authentic dive into how mindfulness continually impacts our lives, deepens our relationships, and allows us to be emotionally alive. We filter all of our conversations through the man box, where we unpack how as men we are expected to act in society, how fighting the authentic human experience is exhausting and damaging, and how mindfulness can help. If you would like to listen live, join Will and John every Friday at 12:30 Eastern Time on IG Live at handle @WillNotFear. We take each IG episode and upload them straight to this podcast. So happy you're tuning in to Men Talking Mindfulness. Now, on to the show. Yo, what's up? Hey, it's Will. Hope my audio's good. I'm putting my earpods in today. See if that'll change anything. John's jumping on in a moment. There he is. So welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm just checking my other way. Where's John? I'm gonna bring John on right now. There he is. Let's get the Frogman. Here we go. Frogman coming in 3, 2. Let's go. 3, 2. And there's John. Hey.
Hey, brother. How's it going?
Good. You can hear me okay? I put my earpods in today.
Yeah, I can hear you all right. You hear me all right?
Yeah, you sound good. So where is John now?
This is, I think, the first time in a while that I've been in the same place for 2 episodes in a row. I'm gonna put my shades on because it's ridiculously sunny out here.
Oh, good.
So yeah, I am in Elko, Nevada, still waiting for the birth of my niece.
Oh, cool. How soon might you have a niece?
We're hoping within the next week. She's not due until the 28th, but my sister-in-law is ready to get her out, and I think our little niece is ready to get out. She's big, so yeah, soon.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good. Well, what's it feel like to be in one place for a little bit of time?
It's it's nice, but it's also there's not a whole lot to do here for the kids. There's some beautiful mountains. I think I showed you last week that we actually have gotten up to a couple times with the kids, and they enjoy that. But it's a little bit of a drive. But all in all, it's nice being in one place for a while, just to I guess plant some quasi roots.
Yeah. Any movement on the house in Colorado?
Yeah. Not movement the way that we wanted necessarily. We're still going to get it, but we're not going to get it until later than we thought. Okay. The loan company that we had gone with was kind of a goofball company, and they weren't doing what we needed them to do. So we fired them and got some new folks. Okay. And things are going to happen a little bit slower, but all in all, it's going to happen in a better way. So we'll get the place. It's just going to be a little bit later than we had intended.
Congratulations. That's awesome. Well, you're still on the road then. You got your camper, you got your family in the camper.
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, I'm sitting on the roof of my camper. Here, hang on. Let me flip it.
Oh my God, you're baking in the sun. Oh, that's fucking awesome. Oh, that's a great view. I think you should do all of your shows from there.
Yeah. So anyway, how you doing, man?
Things are good. I'm in the same fucking spot.
Yeah.
I haven't, I really got to get outside a little more. I'm going away. So things are good. I'm just developing. I just keep working really, and really keep practicing. And what I do, it allows me to practice all the time, because if I'm not practicing it myself or writing about it, I'm teaching it. It's been good. It's just a great time of for self-development and that sort of thing, for sure.
Good. Well, I'm looking forward to today's episode. I think these are some important topics or ideas that we need to talk through, and hopefully your audience, if not live, they can listen in later on IGTV and pick up what we're talking about.
For sure.
Yeah.
First of all, just a shout out to everybody. We've got a lot of great comments
kudos to John and I guess, just really, like people are using the word like impact. People are saying our golden, like such golden content, one person had sent out there. So it's really nice to know that we are having an impact. We are like creating some value in people's lives. And for me personally, it's just an honor to be able to do this and do this with you. And so thank you, everybody, for everyone out there that's watching this and that will watch this a little bit later. And thank you for also sharing this with people, that might be kind of turned to mindfulness in a unique way that we kind of talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
Yeah, so that said, you want to kick it off with a quick practice, man?
Yes. Okay. Let's do this. So everybody that's out there watching or listening right now, let's find a seat with a nice long spine. So we're not like collapsing and kind of mashed potatoing into our couch, but really getting a nice prominent, proud, open, loving chest. Just take a couple breaths just to begin. So let's inhale. Exhale out the mouth, relieving stress on those exhales. Do another big breath in. Let it go out. Awesome. Let's do 3 more. Bigger breath if you can. Inhale more. Feel a big balloon all the way like top or like kind of tickling the very base of your brain. And exhale, let it go out. That's what we'll do. 2 more. We'll inhale and exhale through the nose. So inhale through the nose. Calm and gentle. Exhale through the nose right from the very beginning to the end. Nice and easy. We'll do 1 more inhale. And let it go. Let's just connect with ourselves a little more deeply. Bring both hands across the top of your heart. And I just want you to check in, like how you're feeling right now. Like no good or bad, whatever's there, let it be there. Use the breath to stay connected to this moment, which will help you connect to yourself, which will help you connect to your feelings. And just trying to be aware of like the most prominent emotional experience you're having right now. Just kind of pull away the mind and strip away all the words and just be with what's there. And just really, asking you to listen instead of trying to mandate or dictate or like figure it out. Just listen. It's there. Okay, let's take a few more breaths. Inhale. Let that go. Awesome. 1 more big breath in. And exhale how you like. Awesome. When you're ready, you can slowly open up your eyes. Woo. Good stuff. How we doing, Mr. John?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, thank you for that. You asked us to kind of figure out what it is we're feeling and listen for it because it's there.
Yeah.
And I actually feel very relaxed today, which is ironic because I woke up at like 2:30 in the morning, kind of stressed out about the house and
yeah, it's real.
Yeah, I got a chance to practice in the.
Ah, shit. Okay, we lost John, everybody. Stay tuned. Stay right there. John's going to come back on in a moment. I guess he had a bad connection. So thanks for staying tuned. Today we're going to talk about compassion and empathy. And that's why I went into the meditation, really just kind of stripping away all the mind stuff, right? And really tapping into, listening. Like that's how we really get in touch with our own feelings. That's how we are able to get in touch with the feelings of others, is just by the simple practice of listening. And that's why meditation is going to help you tap into yourself and tap into others and tap into the moment, because we're really just listening for, not for anything in particular, but letting things kind of come to us instead of we're trying to mandate or dictate an experience all the time. So John should be coming back soon. I don't know. I hope his phone didn't die. That was staying. Join because comments are turned off. Okay, good. So come back. Sorry. Turn on comments. Okay. So let's get John back. Thanks, guys. I'm going to text him on my thing. I know, technical difficulties. I didn't know. There he is. Let's see, John. Okay, go live with John. All right. Here we go. Okay, we figured this out. Here he comes. 3, 2. There he is. Sorry, that was my bad. I turned off the comments, not over your face. But I think I brought you in a little bit differently than we are now, so we're good.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
So I was trying to keep everyone. Yeah, no, it's my fault.
Good. I was watching while you were while I was trying to reconnect, so I was listening to everything you were saying. So you're on point. But yeah, man. Compassion, empathy, sympathy, and mindfulness, and how these all tie together. And what I was saying when I dropped off was, I woke up in the middle of the night and got to practice, and that actually helped to put me back down to sleep. And then I woke up this morning much more relaxed, and that's the feeling that I was experiencing when you're running us through that.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Can you tell us about I'm gonna one more question for you, and then I'm gonna define empathy and compassion, because they are different, but they're similar but different. But can you just tell us about what practice you worked with in order to kind of calm yourself down and bring yourself back to sleep?
Yeah, for that particular instance, I did something that I was planning on using this afternoon, or not, at the end of this show to close. It's just literally focusing on some of the bodily sensations that you rarely think about. So last night, we're in this RV, so I don't have a whole lot of space to go out and do a whole lot of big practices. So I just lay there and was thinking about my feet. I mean, how often do you think about the actual physical sensations that you experience in your feet, right?
Right.
So I tried to focus that, and then move from my feet to my ankles and my calves. So I just did a very simple and slow body scan. And since I was focusing on those bodily sensations, all these other worldly worries that were there kind of disappeared, and then I just passed back out. So it was that was a simple practice, and something similar to what we'll do at the end of the show here.
And obviously effective. So I'm excited to do that a little bit later. So okay, let's jump in. And what definition do you want first, John? You want compassion or empathy? Tell me.
Let's start with empathy, and then we can talk about how you add to empathy to kind of get compassion. So go with that.
All right. So empathy. This is from the dictionary, and I like using words are powerful, and I think when really you begin to work with the actual meaning of the word, it gives us a nice foundation to grow. So empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Okay, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. That's what empathy is.
Right.
Should we go with compassion, or you want it? We'll just talk about empathy a little bit first. What do you want to do?
Well, no, let's define compassion on top of that.
Okay, great. So compassion. I mean, they sound very similar, and because they're both in the feeling realm. But the definition of compassion is a sympathetic consciousness of others' distress, together with a desire to alleviate it. Yeah. So that's so it's a little more active than just kind of absorbing is empathy, right? And then compassion is the sympathetic consciousness of others, right? The others' distress, together with a desire to alleviate it. So that's our, that's what we're working with empathy and compassion. So
Brene Brown on Netflix, I think it's her Netflix, or it may be her TED Talk. She has a great kind of explanation of kind of the difference between, and the difference and similarities between sympathy, empathy, and compassion. Yeah. And they're very close to the definitions that you just defined, but they're kind of examples. So she talks about sympathy is if there's somebody that is stuck at the bottom of a well, and somebody walks by, or rather you walk by and you see that somebody down there, And sympathy is you look down at the bottom of the well and you understand that that situation sucks for that person that's stuck down at the bottom of the well, okay?
It's like, I don't want that to be me. That sucks.
You're like, okay,
Right.
that sucks. And you understand that. And then the empathy is you actually take on the feelings of that person down at the bottom of the well. You're like, oh man, that sucks. I really hurt for you. And then you add on compassion. You walk by that well, you see that person down there, you look down, you're like, oh man, that sucks. I really hurt for you. Now I'm going to do something about it.
There you go.
That's where compassion comes in. So, because that's what I always think about.
That's three great examples.
Yeah.
So what? So how have you, or like, where do you feel you are, like on the spectrum of compassion and empathy and that sort of thing? Like where are you in your life as like a father, as a retired military veteran? As how does this how does this play into your life?
Yeah, great questions. Actually, I think the foundation that those other things are built upon, so compassion for as a father, compassion as a husband, it starts with compassion for yourself. And I know that sounds odd because we just kind of defined empathy and compassion as understanding another's feelings and taking them on, and then compassion adding on the desire to help. But I think you have to understand your own feelings, embrace them, and then have a desire to help yourself first. And once you do that, then you're able to understand where others are coming from, understand their emotions, take on their emotions, and then ultimately have a desire to help. And I think, obviously, as I say every week, this show is Men Talking Mindfulness. So the foundation for that foundation is mindfulness.
Right.
So, like last night, right? For example, I was stressed out about some unknown number of things, and if I was just sitting there constantly trying to fix the whole list of things, then I probably would have got even further stressed. But really what I wanted to do was help myself get back to sleep, because getting back to sleep was going to make me a better husband, a better functioning person today. So I was like, okay, well, I've got to put my head down, focus on what I'm feeling, focus on the bodily sensations, and put myself to sleep. So that was kind of a miniature example of mindfulness helping with personal compassion. The other sides of things are understanding that when you do have those worries, hey, that's part of life. And you, like we talked about last week with resilience, those punches and those curveballs are going to come at you. And just understanding that, give yourself some space, give yourself some time to deal with those. You don't have to be so rigid that you can't roll with those punches. You don't have to be so rigid that you can't roll with those curveballs. So give yourself that time and space, and understand that you're a human being living life.
Yeah.
And then you can work towards solving those problems over time and with less stress. And I think that helps you further understand what others are going through, and then have not only the desire to help others, but the ability to help others, because now you're functioning properly, you're thinking more clearly, you're more rational. Right. So yeah, as a father and as a husband, I think I talked to you no, I didn't. I haven't talked to you about this yet. Actually, there was, again, to do with the house. That mortgage company sent me like this whole list of ridiculous things to fill out. I mean, like they had. Sure, I understand. I have to prove that I was in the military, so you have to provide a form called what's called a DD 214, which is hey, that says that you were in the military. Now you're out of the military. That's great. Okay, but then they had me like contact my boss at Veterans Path, the nonprofit that I work for, asking for proof that I can work from home, and
Okay.
proof that I was in the military. And then I had to write a letter to them tying my education to my military career to my civilian career. And that's when I was like, okay, this is just asinine. But I was starting to get stressed out, and my wife talked me off the ledge because she had the compassion for me. She was like, okay, John, none of this has to be done right this minute. Relax. So she had the compassion. I don't know. Can you hear my kids yelling downstairs? I say downstairs. Really, just
down the ladder off the back of an RV.
Yeah. So anyway, because she had that compassion, she was able to help me because she had kind of thought through things rationally. So I'm doing what I do every week. I'm running my mouth longer than I should, but I think that the foundation is there with mindfulness, and then or maybe the basement is built with mindfulness, and then the foundation is built with the compassion for yourself, and then you're able to be compassionate for others. Now, I also want to make sure that we're not saying that empathy is a bad thing. I think empathy is a good thing to have because sometimes you don't have the ability to help. And you know, having empathy is better than nothing. So that empathy can also come from practicing mindfulness and meditation. But ultimately, what's gonna be most helpful in life for both yourself and those around you is having compassion. So I think those are important distinctions that you laid out there. Is that one desire to help.
Yeah, one is it seems the action oriented, where the one is just feeling, or acting on those feelings. But you really bring up a good point about, you know, what mindfulness is going to help us do is it's going to help us to realize if we're suffering or that we're suffering. A lot of people don't even realize that they're kind of like, that they're caught in some sort of emotional, like tornado, and the same fucking emotional tornado all the time. You know, that's stress or loneliness or something like that, and you're kind of always just kind of circling around. And I like the idea of like a tornado because it just circles around with the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same actions, and the only way you can really begin to understand that you're really kind of suffering or caught in this emotional storm is by sitting, stopping, and contemplating on your feelings. Using mindfulness as a tool in order to identify, or it's almost like I like to think of mindfulness as like one of those mag flashlights. You're just like, oh, there you are. Like, that I see you right there. You know, that is me suffering. And then once I know that I am suffering, you know, then I can do something about it. You know, there's lots of things you can do about it. You can it's nice to meditate, but I also am a big fan of getting active. So maybe, you know, work out, go for a run, like call somebody and connect with somebody that you love, or get involved in your community in some ways of like helping other people. You know, it's a great way to kind of get out of your funk. But also, you know, the empathy part, it's like just being able to feel other people, you know, and that's why I was talking in the beginning about being able to listen to other people, being able to listen to yourself on an emotional level instead of like trying to like, what is it? What am I feeling? How am I? Just like stopping all the chatter and just letting that rise to the surface. That's obviously, if I'm able to connect to my feelings, I'm able to connect with other people's feelings and actually, you know, see where they are. Cause sometimes, you know, people, you know, come at you with a lot of their shit. Like they just kind of paint some like enemy image on you, or like, you know, it doesn't matter who that next person is in front of them, they're going to yell at them or like give them a bunch of their BS. But if I'm able to be like, oh, this has nothing to do with me, but I understand that this person's going through a lot of stuff, like what can I do in order to alleviate their suffering? Yeah. And I was also thinking, I just had a situation with a student this week who like flew out to, you know, to Hawaii to do a retreat. You know, she had to quarantine for a couple of weeks, which was, you know, very trying for her. And then she went and met her teacher, and she was going to like, you know, there's a couple week lag between this yoga program that was going to start. And seemingly like stuff started to deteriorate like pretty quickly with like when she finally got to the retreat place. And within a week she left. And,
oh, wow.
You know, she was supposed to be there until like the middle of October or something like that. And,
wow.
And she left early because they just, you know, it was this teacher I don't think she's much of a teacher. I checked out her Instagram and I was like, oh wow, like I could see in like 2 minutes that I don't know if I put myself in that situation. But like I got to a place where I really wanted to help her. But at the same time, it's like the best way I can help her in this particular instance is let her figure it out on her own.
Right.
You know, like, you know, and that's like, and that's kind of, that's where a lot of the education comes from. You know, I feel sometimes, but obviously if I, you know, she actually asked me a very direct question about something that this particular teacher asked her to do. And I was like, I just wrote back, bad idea. Like, I mean, that is like, normally I don't like to butt in people's lives too much, but in this case, I'm like, that is not a good idea. But I don't know exactly where I was going with that, but just like, also, I mean, I think it's important to know you can't save everybody. I feel, you know, like, and I think as men, as a serviceman like yourself, as a teacher, as both of us being teachers, we're always trying to provide solutions. You know, it's like, how can I help? Oh, I got, you know, you just need to breathe. You need to meditate. You need to go for a walk. And it sounds so simple, but it's like, it's like, it's sometimes you just gotta, you know, you gotta, and I think just by being an empath and then also following up with compassion, you kind of get to know those boundaries in a lot of ways of like, you know, what should I do? And sometimes it's just sitting and holding space and listening and letting people like dump that flood of emotions that like they've been wanting to kind of release. And that is like a huge time to a huge way of helping people sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, it is absolutely. But it can also, I will flip that coin. It can also weigh on you quite a bit. So you end up, like you mentioned, you can't help everyone, and you know if you try to, you're going to end up helping no one. But at the same time, when you do help a lot of people, excuse me, my eye is itching. So when you do help a lot of people, and you're not focusing on that self-care that we mentioned at the beginning, you end up with compassion fatigue. Where you're taking on so much of the other people's feelings and emotions, and you're wanting so much to help. That desire is so strong to help so many that you just get worn out. And that's another place where that mindfulness really comes into play, is that you take care of yourself. You start to realize that you are experiencing that compassion fatigue, and you do go for a walk, or you do go get some rest, or you do meditate. So that's another side of that same coin that we all have to be aware of, is that in wanting to help everyone, quite often we can wear ourselves out, and we just need to make sure that when we reach that point, that we take care of where we need to go from there.
One of the a trap that like I know some like really strong empaths. I have some good friends of mine that are just very empathic, and you know, sometimes they actually take on the feelings of other people. You know, and it's like it's transference, and it comes into you. And all of a sudden, like, you're having a shitty day, or you're crying, or very upset about something. And, you know, I have a friend that, you know, another friend, and she's very empathetic, and she would have to check in with herself. Be like, are these my feelings, or are they somebody else's? Because, you know, so just, and that's even, and again, like, only get to this level of awareness and emotional intelligence by really sitting back, and instead of being jacked up or moved with our emotions, energy and motion, like the motion that is, you know, the way it moves through us and what it makes us do is to, the opposite is just to step back and just listen and watch and know it's like, oh, what am I feeling? And then it's like, oh, is this, and then even to make that distinction, is this even my feeling, is like another level of kind of emotional intelligence and mindfulness. But like, you know, I think what we're both kind of doing here is trying to encourage anybody that's listening to this is to really check in and self-reflect. And it's to develop empathy. And if you have empathy, then you can take the action, right, with compassion to alleviate somebody's you know, pain. But it only starts with, again, going down in the basement. Like, what is the foundation that we are constructing our more effective selves, instead of just running on a program that's been handed to us from generations of whomever, right? Creating our own program, creating our own, and like you have to have the hardware in order to put the software on top.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that analogy. That's great.
Yeah. But
it's almost like the meditation is the hardware, and the empathy is the software, and the compassion is like the upgrade to that software or something. Because that's that desire to do that to take action to help. They talk about hard skills and soft skills. Right. Yeah.
And it's like these hard skills are that's our foundation. And I don't know, what would some of those hard skills be? In our basement, what would some of them be?
Yeah, I guess in this particular vein, the hard skills, if we're calling meditation our basement, mindfulness and meditation our basement, just sitting and actually making the time to practice, giving yourself the space, like you regularly talk about on this show, is writing it down, putting it in your schedule. That's to make it actually happen. If you don't do that, is hard. So I think the hard skill is physically writing it down to make it happen. The soft skills are the foundations. The empathy, which again, I think you have to have empathy to be compassionate. I don't think of course. I don't think you can be compassionate without the empathy. So I think that's the soft skill that comes from doing that basement work.
Some of those hard skills, I would think is like, making the time, for yourself. Sitting yourself down and doing the work, because I think the hard skills are kind of like, what am I doing in the physical space in some ways, what am I doing with my time, and if you're taking the time, to develop, making the time to develop the skill of meditation, right, which is kind of like a hard and soft skill in some ways. But then on top of that meditation, it's like, then I can tap into my my emotional life. I can understand my physical self on another level. I can understand, the software, that, or the programming that's been in my brain, from my thinking and stuff like that. And I can, kind of digress or regress into, what do I, what is it that I need, from the skills, the hard skills that I'm developing, of meditation, of staying in my body, of being present. Those are all, those are all skills that we need, that we can really develop. But it just like, if you want to be a great rifleman, you want to be a great, athlete in some ways, you got to put in the reps. You got to show up and put in the reps. And it's not something that just, it just doesn't happen overnight, or like some people, like I'd imagine like, I've been practicing mindfulness for a couple of weeks. That's great. But like, it's just a continual, I've been practicing for fucking over a decade. And, and it's like, I'm always discovering something. And I always feel like I could be more empathetic. I could be more compassionate. I can be more sympathetic. To myself, definitely, 100%. I'm probably more compassionate and empathetic to other people.
I think we all
myself
are.
There, than myself. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But then how about that whole idea? It's like, who you're looking at, I'm talking to you, but ultimately I'm kind of talking to myself in some ways. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of this duality in some ways, which is just like we're all, I don't know exactly where I'm going with all this right now. But
well, I love it.
Yeah.
And going back to the hard skills and soft skills thing is I talked about one of the hard skills being to actually write it down and do the practice. But I think the other hard skill is in time it does get developed. But
for sure.
The ability to kind of shut off the noise, or calm it down in a way, I know our minds wander, but the ability to notice that it's wandering and then come back to the meditation over and over and over, that is kind of, and I've used this metaphor before with you, and I'll continue to use it. But it's that snow globe. It's us setting that snow globe down and letting those snowflakes kind of settle down to the bottom, and it's like clearing our mind, and knowing that those snowflakes are still there, and we're going to have to deal with them at some point, but we don't have to deal with them all simultaneously as this big cloud of snow. It's a big blizzard that we can't even see through. So it's in order to coming back to the compassion piece, in order to have that self-compassion that a lot of us are lacking because we're constantly thinking about others and wanting to help others, we have to let those snowflakes settle and see what it is we need, the action that we need to take for ourselves in order to better ourselves so that we can be more present and be better for others. I think that's a very important, hard skill to have. Is kind of settle that, figure out what it is you need as a person, and then take action down the road for others.
Yeah, well, I'll say it again. I think a part of those hard skills is developing the skill of listening. Like that, we say it, I think we talked about listening last week. We'd say every single, almost every single episode we do, because it's just so incredibly important to be able to listen to others, and that's holding space, but also be able to listen to ourselves, but not just our mind, but our feelings, how we are in the world, listening, in our meditation when your kids are screaming or this or that, it's like, understanding those triggers to want to do something or to want to complain or label something, good or bad or whatever. And just like non-judgmentally listening and being present with listening. And it is like, I think, I don't know if I've said this, or what really, it was like 5 or 6, 7 years ago or something like that. One of my first roommate in college, first roommate ever. I was like 18 years old. I'm still friends with this guy today. I love this guy. His name's Aaron. He lives in Pennsylvania. Great guy, father of 2. And he told me a while ago, he's like a big quote guy. He likes quotes. He would send them through email and stuff like that. And he lives in Pennsylvania. I'm in New York. So we were able to hang out one night. And this quote, and I practiced, I really tried to understand what this quote was. And now I do. And he said, listen so intently that you disappear. And I was like, whoa, right? You know what I mean? So disappearing meaning you're not trying to, rebuttal. You're not trying to come up with a comparative story. You're not trying to argue with that person or be right in your own mind. You're just being present and listening to them. Listen so intently that you disappear. And I really took that to heart and developed it into a really strong, hard skill that I have by just holding space and listening. But it took me a long time to understand, to get beyond my ego in the sense of how it's trying to impose itself in every fucking circumstance. I mean, it's like, and obviously I'm listening to you. I'm taking the information from you because I want to keep the conversation robust and connected and, engaging for others. But I'm also listening in a way, that receiving your information, also how you're feeling, and maybe being able to kind of put that in the back of my mind and maybe use that word or phrase and bring it up a little bit later, but really just trying to hear what you're saying, and what you're trying to explain. So that's listening it's one of the best things I've ever done for myself. And meditation that's the skill of literally the art of listening in so many ways.
Yeah, it is. Listening to what it is you are experiencing. I mean, your buddy, Aaron, what was it? Listen so intently that you disappear.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think that you could take that and apply it to the meditation and mindfulness, in that you're listening so intently to the here and now. You're listening so intently to the emotions that you're experiencing. You're listening so intently to the physical sensations that you're experiencing that all that other noise kind of disappears, at least for the moment. And even if that moment is all you have, that moment will allow you to have that clarity to get what you need from that meditation or from that mindfulness. And, something, I think we probably talked about this in one of the first episodes, but I mentioned meditation and mindfulness, and I want to make sure that we draw, a distinction there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people these days are using those terms synonymously, and they're not exactly the same. In that, the meditation is where you're setting aside that time very intentionally to be alone in your space, whether that's a standing meditation, a walking meditation, a sitting meditation, whatever. But you're very intentionally setting that time aside to do just that. And then the mindfulness side is where you're aware of the here and now, the present, and you're focusing on the present, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, focusing on the present, and you're doing so without any judgment. And then you can meditate mindfully. You can also do other things mindfully. Like I'm sitting here talking to you mindfully right now, as you talked about just a second ago. Listen so intently that you disappear. That is you being mindful in a conversation. You're paying attention to what the other person is saying. You can also eat mindfully. I mean, paying attention to the food that you're eating, the texture, the smell, the taste. I mean, all too often we wolf down a meal and we don't even know what we just ate. That's not being mindful. Then you can sit and enjoy a meal mindfully, and it makes a world of difference. So I always, I'll probably try to do this almost every show, is just draw that distinction.
I agree,
because that's always a question that people ask is, hey, what's the difference between mindfulness and meditation? Are they the same thing? They're not, but there's definitely overlap. Of course. And I think both of them go hand in hand in coming back full circle to developing empathy and developing compassion, both for yourself and for those around you. So
I feel like, great. I mean, important distinction. And I think you can also we can also look at meditation as the practice to become more mindful. Well, meditation is like I'm sitting, I'm focusing on one thing and doing the best I can in the amount of time that I've given that. And then like when I'm out of my meditation and in the world, the meditation has helped me become more and like what meditation is helping us do, be in the moment. What mindfulness is helping us do is be like kind of actively in the moment. Like, so whether I'm talking to you, whether I'm doing my dishes, whether I'm like, helping the kids, it's like I'm being very present, present. And the meditation helps us to create that presence, so we can, we're just more engaged. And another thing with listening is like when I do try to intently listen, without judgment. Right, that's when I can make a distinction between this is like genuine listening versus me judgmentally listening, or trying to, or like kind of listening to stay in an argument or to wrong somebody or to do whatever, But like, and it really, again, it just comes with putting in the work. Unless you had some really, I can't wait to meet your kids in like 15, 20 years, John. With all this meditation and mindfulness, your kids are going to be these little Zen masters walking around. I hope.
I can only hope. Man.
Yeah.
Well, that all in mind, man. I think that kind of lays a good foundation for the practice. And I mentioned at the beginning of the show that I was just going to do a very simple practice, but I think I've got a different line now that I want to take based on the conversation that we had. And it's just going to be a short meditation to help us get in touch with what it is that we are feeling, and then help us get a desire to take action to help for ourselves. So that said, man, let's jump into it. So like you did at the beginning, assume a comfortable position, whatever that looks like for you. Try to get into a position where you can be aware of your body, but not so uncomfortable that you can't hold that position. So Assume that position, and if you're comfortable doing so, I invite you to close your eyes. If not, just soften your focus and bring your attention. I'm going to start with just a few cleansing breaths. Bring your attention to your breath. Deep cleansing breath in through your nose. Hold it. And out through your mouth. In through your nose. Hold it. And out through your mouth. And now just begin to breathe naturally and bring your attention inwards to the emotions that you may be experiencing right now. Don't feel a need to judge them, but let's identify them. Name them to tame them. Identify what it is. It may be a point of concern. And then, once you've identified that point of concern, what emotion does that actually bring to the surface? Experience that emotion. Don't feel the need to judge it. Just be with it. And now start to think about who you are, what capacities and capabilities do you have to take action on that item, on that emotion, to help yourself. Focus very intently on that item, on that emotion, and what capabilities and capacities you have to help yourself. Now, repeat these statements of self-compassion. I am human. I will have difficulties, but I have capabilities. I am human. I will have difficulties, but I have capabilities. One more time. I am human. I have difficulties, but I have capabilities. And now come back to your breath. Deep in through your nose. Hold it. Out through your mouth. Deep in through your nose. Hold it. And out through your mouth. Now slowly, as you're comfortable, come back to the here and now. Slowly open your eyes or bring your focus back. Maybe incorporate some movement. And just carry that self-compassion through your day. Self-compassion, again, is the foundation that you need to have compassion for others. If you're wanting to help others in the best way possible, you need to be the best you can be. And in order to do that, you need to have that self-compassion. So that, again, is understanding what it is you're feeling and then having that desire to move forward and help yourself. So
thank you,
thanks,
John.
Will.
That was wonderful. We had one little question here. It said, this is from BA Squared. What is your top tip for meditating without guidance? What is your top tip for meditating without guidance? That's a tough question for me in some ways, because I only learn meditation through being guided. To start.
That's exactly right.
And I think, without being guided, if that's out of your means of learning meditation at this point, I would suggest just sitting down for 10 minutes and trying to feel the experience of, or even just 5 minutes, even 3 minutes is fine. Just try to experience your breath. That's it. As the sensations of it, how it flows in and out of your body, and just let that be your focus. Like 100% of those 3, 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes is just be aware of your breath. Be aware of your breath. Be aware of your breath. Over and over and again. Thoughts come in, back to my breath. Feeling comes up, back to my breath. Sensation wakes up my body, back to my breath, back to my breath. And that's like one of the simplest ways of meditating, is just doing a simple breath meditation and just being aware intimately of how your breath is experienced in your body. Like that would be my number one tip.
Yeah, I would echo that almost 100%. I would echo that 100% and then just add to it that your mind is going to wander. And if you can just come back, like Will said, come back to that breath, or figure out whatever anchor it is. If it's not your breath, maybe the sense of smell, sense of touch, and come back to that anchor over and over and over again. And just like a ship, as the ship kind of starts to get away from that center point of that anchor, eventually that anchor is going to catch that ship and it's going to bring it back. So that's what you need to do, is just come back over and over. And that's where the beauty of meditation comes in, is that it's not in clearing your mind, it's in coming back over and over to that anchor to settle your mind. Right. Eventually that has physiological benefits of rewiring your brain, so that as you get further and further in your practice, it becomes easier and easier to do.
Yeah.
Great question.
Great. No, yeah, it is good. And what I'm going to do, I'll link in the IGTV. I just created a meditation page that anybody can use. I have like 3 different styles of meditation. They're all about 9 or 10 minutes through YouTube, that you can just simply jump in and do those meditations. So I'll make sure I share them, with the group that they can utilize as a guided meditation. But if you're not, just make the time, sit your ass down, and then just follow your breath for whatever duration you created. I personally tell my students, like, work from about like 7 minutes or greater, or if you can only do 5 minutes is fine. But start to make the time and sit and just follow your breath. So thank you so much, John, for this. I always enjoy these conversations.
Always a pleasure. Absolutely, brother. Have a great weekend,
stuff.
man.
Yeah, you too. We'll be back next Friday, everybody. Thanks for sharing this with your friends. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your messages. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It really helps us keep going, and to really know that this is having an impact and people really need this stuff. So
absolutely.
Awesome, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thanks, brother. All right.
I'll
Talk
see
to
you
you
soon.
soon.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, bye.
Thanks for joining Will and John on Men Talking Mindfulness. If you enjoyed the show, please like and share it with your friends and family, and please, we would appreciate a review too. Until next time, this has been Men Talking Mindfulness. Thanks for showing up.